I'm Margaret Ann Windsor, and I was kidnapped in 41 and brought to Moulton, Alabama. Given the name of a twin that was dead, they killed her 2 weeks prior to my being dropped off there, so they knew that I was going to be dropped off there and given her name. Carl, the other twin, was killed after birth. I'm not going to show that family's picture this time. I don't think I have a lot of time on this video, so I'm just going to get to it. Before I found out about my kidnapping, I wrote a book, medical malpractice book, MD: A License to Kill, in '78, and it was about mind control murders. Using hypnosis or programming and mind control to kill and make it look of natural causes, or program someone else to do the murders for you. And the motive is with the programmers, just like the Las Vegas, and that's a perfect example. If they will ever print it, it can totally be proven. The timeline, you can't dispute it. But the Sandy Hook, I'll say this, he turned around and killed himself. He was programmed to. He also killed his mom. And I want to go to Russell Yates' wife way back. She drowned her I believe it was three children in the bathtub. This woman was programmed. She wasn't mentally ill. They treated her as if she was mentally ill. Gave her, I'm sure, psychotic drugs, just as James Holmes of the Aurora, Colorado. Now then, what I wanted to get into, because I put it up so much, I'm just going to show, this is Mr. Flint, and he even says I know who was responsible for his shooting in Lawrenceville in '78. This is April issue of '84. I found out right after then who my mom is, and my mom's a sister to artist Georgia O'Keeffe from Madison, Wisconsin. Of course, she had Ghost Ranch outside Santa Fe in Abiquiu. This is my father, Edward VIII. He was married to my mom. He never married. He stayed married. They were married and alive in 1986 when I came to Roanoke, Virginia in October. And they remain married. This was a takedown of my father by the Illuminati, the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, and Bilderbergers, and your global government, which is in power now and have been. But this gets into chips being put in heart bypasses, into root canals a long time ago, especially the root canals, and you're being programmed, you don't even know it. So this little bit recently about coming out and before the Coke machine or candy machine and putting a little tiny grain in your hand is almost so ludicrous. They've been putting chips in you and making your decisions in a lot of cases. Let me say this, Mr. Paddock didn't even know he was programmed. Had he, who would he told? They would have locked him up and gave him psychotic drugs. This is my point. I've been called names and everything, and I've done nothing but tell the truth. Where are all the psychiatrists, mental health workers, and all this? If you listeners here, if you even bother to watch, and I've gotten nasty feedback on it, and it really hurts, because my point was, what if your child was programmed one of these, like Timothy McVeigh even told you he was in your military. He told you, and I've got a picture I put up, that he had a chip put up his buttocks by the military. Now, he went on and was put to death for the Oklahoma City bombing. And his friend, Brian Nichols, was it Brian, his last name Nichols? The same thing happened. Now, there's a connection to that will prove that one too, and I'm not going to get into that right now. It has to be put in print. Part of it is that, like John Lennon was shot, he's British. They're not going to tell this because my father, they've defamed him. It was character assassination. A double married Wallace. And I want to show this. You talk about behavior. Look at this. This is Diana. And I could show you all the pictures of Wallace Simpson, what they have claimed, this total lies. They became the Duke and Duchess of Windsor. And Elizabeth's father, my uncle, helped in my kidnapping. So did JFK. His father was appointed ambassador to Britain, to the UK, to England in 1936, kicked out in 46. The timeline, my father was forced to abdicate. He was married to my mom. Claudia Ruth O'Keeffe was Queen of England. And Roosevelt, the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Kennedy clan, who I found out are related. I hope not to be, but they're related to the one side of the royal family, and I'm not going to get into that right at the moment. So that must have been the end, how they got in and helped kidnap me. This is me when I was brought over here, and that's George. Now I want to get to Elizabeth. She goes to church every Sunday. She's even gone through Roanoke, Virginia. She was invited to speak before the Virginia State Senate, I think, or anyway, at the Capitol in Richmond. And this is the brood that she's fed and made wealthy and had one heck of a good time. She goes to church on Sunday, stands before God, presents herself with all those lovely bouquets as this nice, upstanding woman. I am appalled. When she came through Roanoke, that was right after the Virginia Tech shooting, which was a program shooting next door in Blacksburg. I was actually living on the Appalachian Trail, trying to live. You should see what I was going through, just trying to live and stay off the side of the road. She's used my money. She's made no effort whatsoever. She's a war criminal. She signed illegal treaties, her and her father, that allowed the United States to come in and invade Great Britain and pretend they were helping us when what they did was invade us. And therein was Israel came to be. Well, there were Jews that were helping do this to me. Henry Kissinger later on the Watergate tape. Oh, it's ugly if it's ever told before the world. Then what? It's been done, is what a friend of mine said. Well, it's been done to you. Well, I hope there's God, and I hope there's payback. I certainly do. The pain and suffering to me and my children, by the way, Mark and Scott, is unbelievable, the crimes that have been done in plain sight. So I guess, what am I going to say now? The media has always known about me, my kidnapping, my dad not marrying Wallace Simpson. My dad refused to take orders from the Illuminati. So they installed my uncle and Elizabeth and her brood. And if they don't like a leader, they take them out. They just happened to take mine out with character assassination. And they've done a good job on me, too. So I'm watching the media that has always known this. And by the way, they've always known about the mind control murders. I'm going to show you a picture of me. I have no clothes. Someone brought me some the other day, a coat. It's winter here. I'm kept penniless and homeless. And I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to show you my picture. I don't go to the beauty salon. I did a lot of years ago. I did. Let me see. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that. I had my hair done. I had clothes that were decent for a while and a home. We were being worked over. I didn't know why. At the time, I thought it was because of the book later on I wrote, until I found out about my kidnapping. It's strange when you start telling the crimes that have been committed and can be proven and should have been. The people that committed them want to go after you then and shut you up, and they start trying to dig up dirt on you, like the Dempseys down there. When I started putting it up on YouTube, and they began to know that I had too much, and people believed it. Then they tried to smear me, of all things. Not one time did anybody ever say, geez, I'm sorry, you were 2 years old and you were dropped off in this pigsty and you had every crime in the book done to you. And it went on. And then the woman that was mother of the twins, Lana, She was with George Wallace, by the way, Governor Wallace. He wasn't for her. She stuck herself into the campaign, and whether he liked it or not. So she was with him in Laurel, Maryland, when he was shot. She was with U.S. Senator John Sparkman, who knew all when he died in about 1983 or something, about that time. She was doing a companion aid to him. And she's been in all these spots. And, she went to church every Sunday. And it was after in late 83 I found out about my kidnapping, and I look back and the Brits were there that saved my life, and the Germans and some Americans. Now I want to get to Elizabeth, her shaking hands, and I guess people would get mad at me if I mentioned that, so maybe I won't. Shaking hands, and she looks like this sweet person. I mean, she's a cold-blooded killer. She's a war criminal. She gave my country away. She defamed my father. She was there when I was kidnapped. She was 15 years old. Because we had moved back into Buckingham Palace for a short period of time, they had to kidnap me to get me out of the way, because my father had an addendum to the forced abdication. The day I was born Victoria II, heir to the British Crown. So she was there when I was kidnapped, 15 years old. She certainly remembers. She knows that Wallace Simpson married a double. She knows who my mom is. By the way, America, my mom was a school teacher, a beautiful lady. And you all have allowed this to happen to her. And you celebrate the Kennedys and Martin Luther King. He partnered with John Kennedy. And it gets into mental health and mind control. And mental health has nothing to do with mind control. Mind control is a murder weapon and used to defame people and make people pay for a crime they didn't commit. And James Holmes, there's a whole list of them. Larry Flint was shot, his attorney killed. So if I'm seeming scattered, people try to pick out the bad that I put up. It's been my life. I've put it up. It's nothing but the truth, so help me God. And quite frankly, I hope you all have to stand before God and listen to all this and then tell him he's crazy. Okay?